All right, folks, this is David Deviney, your instructor for the summer. This is May the 27th is when I'm making this recording. So I'm at home today since the college is closed. But I thought I'd put together this quick little video to give you an idea of kind of what's going on or what will kind of go on during the semester and kind of what you should expect out of Moodle. So this is Moodle, and this is kind of what Moodle will look like when you log into it. It may look a little different compared to yours since this is the instructor's view, but it'll be pretty similar. So you'll log in. If you have issues with usernames and passwords and things like that, then you need to get with student services and work with them. I can't really help you with usernames and passwords. What I can help you with is working actually in my course. So when you log in, you should be able to see some of these things, right? And so the first part here is course information that you'll see. The biggest thing is you need to read this syllabus and you need to take this syllabus quiz. You will not be able to see anything else in the class until you take that syllabus quiz. It's 5 or 6 questions, I can't remember, multiple choice. It should take you, 5 minutes to knock that out after you read the syllabus. So take care of that first. Then once you do, everything else will open up for you. The first thing I've got up here will be just some online YouTube lectures from Bozeman Biology. These are supplemental lectures, so you can watch these if you want. You don't have to watch them, but usually students are looking for kind of supplemental stuff, extra stuff to do or to watch to help them understand a concept, and these lectures are good for that. Then we go into the actual material. So chapter 1, and I try to list the due dates up here. So chapter 1 and chapter 2 will be due by June 3rd, which kind of brings me to the fact that this is a summer course. It's 8 weeks long, which is half the time of a normal semester. Normal semester is 16 weeks. So you're going to be covering 2 chapters of material all week. I don't do multiple due dates through weeks. Some instructors, for instance, would have you, things would be due on Tuesdays and things would be due on Thursdays and then Fridays. I don't do that. I just make everything due on the same day. So chapter 1, chapter 2 stuff will be due on June 3rd. And it's kind of up to you to, make the time work. Again, you're college students, and, if you haven't heard it already, it's pretty cliche, but college is mostly about time management. So figure out how to manage your time best there. So chapter 1, chapter 2 stuff will be due on June 3rd. So what will you be doing? Well, one, I've got some PowerPoints for every chapter. There's nothing really mandatory about the PowerPoints. You don't have to download them and look at them. Obviously, that it would help you if you do. But again, there's no assignment associated with those. Here's the first lecture, so chapter 1 lecture. These lectures, again, they're not me, because, why would I try and reinvent that wheel when, let me click on this and kind of show you what to expect, if it'll bring it up. But these are all crash course biology lectures, and when you see that H5P, that means that there's some assignment within that lecture for you to do, and maybe it'll bring it up. I do make these lectures so that you have to watch them. You can't kind of move through them quickly, right? And so here's kind of what they would look like. And of course you can start watching this. One of the things you need to kind of pay attention to, and let me actually draw on this here so you can see it. In these lectures, these are the things you need to pay attention to. Well, not that you don't need to pay attention to the whole thing, you do. But those little purple circles, that means that there is a question there for you to answer. So when it gets to it, you'll answer that question, you'll move on. And so you need to make sure that you answer questions everywhere that there is a little purple circle for all of these. And again, it'll record a grade for you for this lecture. I set these videos up so you can't fast forward through them. You can go back 10 seconds at a time because I kind of know what would happen. If I let you fast forward through them, you would fast forward to the questions and answer those, and then that would be that. But again, I mean, this is one of the longer lectures. It's only 11 minutes, so I'm not talking about a huge time investment here. He does talk really quickly, so you may find yourself pausing it often to kind of understand what he's saying. But again, pretty good lectures, and you should use those. Well, you kind of have to, right? Because you have to answer the questions. And let me go back. So again, anywhere you see that H5P, that means that that's a lecture that I have questions for you to answer. I also have reading quizzes, so let me just click on the reading quiz to give you an idea of what they look like. You'll have reading quizzes for every single chapter, right? And they are multiple choice type quizzes. You'll see 20 questions at a time. Those 20 questions are pulled from a bank of questions. You can take these quizzes as many times as you want to. I only keep the highest grade. And you should use these as kind of ways to help you study for exams. I'm not one that believes much in busy work. So if I'm going to make you do it, I'm going to make it worth your while. So I will pull some of these questions for exam questions as well. So again, reading quizzes for every chapter. Take it as many times as you want to. I only keep the highest grade. And again, pay attention to due dates there. Let me go back one more time here. Whoops. Something else in the course. All right, so that was the PowerPoint. There's the lectures, reading quizzes, and then we get into lab stuff. And this is probably one of the things that causes the most anxiety for students when they're just getting started, is getting their lab kit and actually getting started on the labs. For Chapter 1, about the only lab I've got for you is just this safety thing. So you'll just click on this PDF, read over it, and then you'll have this safety lab contract to fill out, and then this is where you'll submit it. So you'll download this, you'll answer the questions there, and then you'll go in here. Right, and again, this will look a little different from what you see, but that's where you'll actually submit it. Some things to be careful of here when you're submitting assignments for me. One, you students that have Apple products, a lot of times it'll save these as, and let me write this up here. A lot of times Apple products will save things as dot, what's it doing? It'll save them as dot pages files, and for some reason my pen doesn't want to work at the moment. Let's see if I can change the color here. Yeah, it's not working. Anyway, if you're an Apple product user, then a lot of times it wants to save Apple as the default. It'll save these as dot pages files, and then you'll try to submit that to me. And those don't work very well in Moodle. You need to save them as a .docs, D-O-C-X file, and then when you submit them to me that way, you should be fine. Some students freak out a little bit because they don't have access to maybe Word. You can use Google Docs, which is free, and there's other kind of free software you can use, so that shouldn't be an issue. Obviously, if you're going to use Google Docs, you're going to have a Google account, but again, free to sign up for. Shouldn't be any issues there either. Right, so for Chapter 1, this is the lab you'll have to do. Again, that's just a safety thing. Read over it. It shouldn't take you long to finish that. And of course, now it wants to draw for me. Chapter 2, the lab is a little bit more extensive. So you've got the pH homeostasis PDF. So you're going to read over this PDF. And actually, let me show you this. All right, so as we scroll through it, so it'll show you kind of the things that you should have. Right, all of this is kind of background information. So what you should know about things like pH and buffers and things of that sort. It'll also give you kind of the materials. So you kind of want to look over this to make sure that you've got all these things first. And again, this is for every lab. And then the other thing you should do is you should read over the actual activities. Right? So what is it that you're doing in the lab? And the thing you should pay attention to here are, let me see if I can get it to draw this time, these camera icons. Everywhere you see a camera icon, that means you need to take a picture, and that picture needs to be submitted to me. If you don't see a camera icon in a lab anywhere, I still want you to take pictures. One at the beginning, one in the middle of the lab, and one at the end. That just allows me to know that you actually did the lab, and you're not just answering questions and submitting things to me without actually working through the lab. So again, anywhere you see a camera icon, that means you need to take a picture for me. And so make sure you pay attention to those for sure. Anywhere it talks about things like data tables, you'll have those data tables in the Word document that I'm about to show you. But again, all of the directions for the labs will be here. Sometimes there will be links to videos. So here's one. And again, this is just something kind of pertinent that Carolina Biological thinks that maybe you need a video to show you how to set things up, or kind of what you should expect in the actual experiment. So look over those too if you see them. So again, the PDF is just the instructions. That's your lab book essentially. These Word documents are the questions that you're going to answer. So again, let me just kind of show you what that looks like. I'll open up one here. Slowly. And so pH homeostasis lab, put your name, put the date. And then you'll notice here activity 1. Right, there's your data table. So here's some data that you'll enter. There's a couple questions that you'll answer about the labs, and then data table 2, so on and so forth. Right. And so when you complete that, let's see here. When you complete that assignment, again, here's where you'll submit it, right? So submit pH lab assignment here. You'll click on that. You'll submit it to me. An important thing about submissions for labs is you only can submit one document, right? So even if, for instance, in the PDF it has you taking 10 pictures for me, I still want you to put all 10 of those pictures in one document along with the answers to your questions, and submit that one document to me. Don't try to submit 11 documents to me. The way I have it set up in Moodle, you can only submit one, so it won't let you. If you submit before the due date and you want to go back and edit, you can certainly do that. I mean, once you submit, it's not like it's going to hold you to that. You can go back in and remove the file that you put in, make any corrections that you want to make, and then re-upload a new one. That's not a problem. So you can make corrections if you want. But again, I think the important thing here is stay on top of all this stuff, pay attention to due dates. Do not wait until the day before. Again, this pH and homeostasis lab, it takes a little time to set up, takes some time to work through. So if you wait 40 minutes before the due date to start it, you're not going to get finished. Some things about pictures. If you don't take pictures for the labs that you submit to me, those are automatically zeros, because it tells me that you just answered the questions or tried to answer the questions and you didn't do the lab. So again, if I open up your assignment and there's just no pictures there, that's automatically a 0 because you didn't do it. That would be like somebody in a seated class not coming to lab and then still trying to submit lab work to me. It just doesn't work that way. So be careful there. But what you're going to have to do for every chapter, you'll have some PowerPoints up, you'll have some lecture questions up. Sometimes I'll have lectures that don't necessarily have questions. So for instance, this H5P, that means those questions there for you to answer. This lecture and this lecture for macromolecules and chemistry, there's no questions there for you to answer. but it would certainly help you to watch those. Right? Again, there's some there's the chemistry quiz or the chapter 2 quiz for you. You can take multiple times. I want to keep the highest grade again. And then this is the lab. And that's kind of how I have all of this set up. Sometimes you'll have more lectures with questions than others. Right? And then that's kind of how we'll march through the semester. Right? So June 10th stuff, then we'll go into June 17th stuff, so on and so forth. So again, I know it's a little daunting at first. It looks like a whole lot at first when you open it up. But when you start kind of marching through it, I think it looks like a lot because there's multiple things for one. For instance, there's three different links here for one lab, right? And so this looks like more than it actually is. Sometimes you'll only be doing one lab a week. Sometimes you might do 2 or 3 labs a week. It kind of depends. Like for instance, when we do blood, then there's a couple of labs there for the blood chapter that you can do. Some heart dissections and things of that nature. Right, so that's kind of what it looks like. Again, the first thing you have to do though is take that syllabus quiz before you can see any of it. And let me check my notes here to see if there's something else that I might want you to remember. Oh, exams. I haven't uploaded any exams yet, but exams will cover 2 chapters at a time, right? So what I'll do is you'll have chapter 1, chapter 2. That chapter material is due on the 3rd. And then I'll put an exam link down here so that you can have an exam on chapter 1 and chapter 2. And it'll probably be due after the 3rd sometime, maybe sometime before the 10th. I haven't really decided on the due dates for exams yet. But when I put that up, I'll make sure to communicate that with you. Exams will be online for you guys. You won't have to come to campus at all to take any of that kind of stuff. But I would encourage you to, when you can, log on, get started. Don't let these due dates sneak up on you. Do not procrastinate. That is the best way to do poorly in this class is to procrastinate. I know that sounds terribly cliche for every instructor, everywhere to talk about don't procrastinate. I mean, it's just a really bad idea in an 8-week summer session to put things off to the last minute. You're just not going to do well if you do that. So stay on top of all this stuff, and you should do well in the course. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I try to respond to those as quickly as possible. Certainly if you haven't heard back from me within 24 hours or so, let me know, and I'll make sure to reply. Look forward to the semester.